Hello, I tried to make an individual video of all the pianos that we have in stock. I've got a bit behind with that, so I'm going to put several pianos on this one video and try and sort of link them and show you whereabouts on the video they are. This Bosendorf has got its individual video already, and you'll find that on the stock list. So to pass that one by, and there's the Blüthner here, and actually we have got this one has an individual video as well, so that's also on the stock list. There's another Blüthner Style 4 here, and this isn't on the stock list, it's come in more recently, so just quickly have a look at that. This has ivory keys, extremely good condition, and there's just one here you can see has been replaced and stuck back on, but it's quite a good match actually. Sorry, rather that's a replacement one that's been added, but it's a very good match, and they've managed to get the line, reduce the line there pretty well, so that's encouraging. And generally the cosmetic, the whole piano is really perfect. It's a satin mahogany, flamed mahogany, or fiddleback as they call them, and very, very good indeed, so that's encouraging. We have another Blüthner Style 4, that's a 5-foot long grand piano here. It's come in more recently, so I'm going to make a brief video of this, hopefully be able to show you all that we need to. So there's actually the pedals, right hand pedals, not that worn there, it's just some of the lacquer's come off it, so we'll have to obviously make that good. So the piano's just come in really. The casework is perfect, and the ivory keys are extremely good as well, so that's encouraging. And this is what we call flame mahogany, or fiddleback mahogany it's sometimes called as well, like the back of a violin. And this has been fully restored, as you can see. So we normally make a longer video of this, but as I say, I'm a bit behind with videos, so sorry about that. We'll have to, if you want more information, obviously you can give that. The piano is fully restored. It's had a new rest plank, extremely well done, and we'll have to have a very quick listen to the tone of it. It's got a slightly more bright sound than the other Blüthner. Very good touch. We just need the touch is slightly heavy, so that's something we'll be reweighting it to be about 50 grams or slightly less, which is generally people who buy Blüthner grands, they're domestic piano, and perhaps don't play quite so much as a concert pianist might, so we don't want to have the touch too heavy, and it's slightly on the heavy side at the moment. There's a Bechstein Grand Model B there, which we have a video of, and this Ibach as well, which I think is probably sold, so there's also a video of that one. And Feurich Grand, we've got a video of that one too, so that's a 179. It's one of our preferred new pianos. There's a Knight here, Knight K10, and there's a very, very nice crown cut mahogany here. We have a few Knights in stock. It's one of the makes that we're particularly trying to source, and this one is just very, very pretty mahogany, as you can see. It's crown cut, meaning it's cut in such a way you get a patterned wood rather than a straight cut. So, and listen to the tone. Well, Knight's such a stable piano. They're always very, very stable. A lot of teachers recommend Knights and use Knights themselves. So obviously choosing pianos that aren't too worn. By the way, we've replaced the name here. That is a problem with Knights very often, that the names come off. I don't know why, particularly on Knights, that happens, but we've made the name there and put it on top. So I think it looks reasonably integral with the piano. This Knight's made in 1990, which is one of the latest ones we'll get. After that, they tend to, this continuous bridge system, which we've got videos of, is so important really, that Knight's is such a well-designed piano, and you get a very even tone around this area. I've got a video explaining that, and Knight's own explanation for it, and why there's such a special piano really. So this has a beautiful tone to it, and definitely recommend it very much. Very sweet sounding. And another Knight here. This is more typical of Knights really, a straight mahogany, not the crown cut mahogany that we've just seen. So that's obviously looks very different. Very nice looking piano, very good condition this piano's in. No fading on the front So casework's very, very good. You can see marks here, but you don't actually notice those when it's in playing condition. And so obviously that's a slight defect. The name is no problem here. That name's the original one. And tone again, they're very reliable. They do vary slightly, tone one to the other, but this is an excellent tone piano. This one has Celeste, that's the middle pedal, which is useful if you want to practice, obviously. So it's more important for us really is the general tone of the piano, because Celeste aren't used that much really. But they're useful obviously if you do have a problem with neighbours or the piano's in the same room as the television, then you can practice your scales with a Celeste down. So I had both pedals on there and done the same again. Let's try it. There we are. And it does sound a lot quieter, and you can do scales and not disturb people. This is a Wohlmar, what they call Regency style. I'm pretty sure we've got a video of this one already, so I'll pass that one by. You could find the video on the listing on the website. And last of all, in our shop showroom, high street shop, we've got a Yamaha here and a Feurich. Well, we've got videos of those generally. They're all quite similar to each other. I would love to do individual ones of these pianos. I'm sorry there's not enough time to do it. By the way, this has got Cat's clips on. We've mentioned this. If you look for Cat's clips on our website, you'll see a video featuring them. Really useful if you haven't got any book holders. And these Yamahas, they don't take book holders very easily. If you try and drill through, the Yamaha desk tends to break. So it's ideal to have Cat's clips, which you can move around according to the size of the book that you've got. Now moving down to one of our workshop showrooms, they have some black pianos here, as you can see. So there's a Yamaha's and Feurich are the main ones we've got here. Feurich is our preferred make of new piano, and this is a 133. It's one of their top models. We've sold many of these to musicians, and there's not an individual video of this piano, but there are other videos of Feurich 133. But so let's just have a quick look at this piano. So there's the serial number of the piano, and it's brand new. As you can see, there's no real wear on the hammers. They've been played in slightly in the factory and then by ourselves as well. But they are extremely good pianos. The touch is very similar to the similar size Steinway, interestingly. That's not an exaggeration, by the way. It really is an extremely good touch, similar to the Model K Steinway. And 133 centimeters gives it a wonderful bass sound. Really one of our preferred pianos generally, not just new pianos, but has a delicious tone to it. Here's the other 133 we have in stock. Let's see if we can hear any difference. They always vary slightly because the soundboards are slightly different, and the hammers can be slightly different too. They're the main components of the tone. Well, they both sing beautifully and both got excellent basses. Again, slightly varied, but very rich tone. Long strings, obviously, so that makes them excellent pianos. They also feature an LED light which can be switched on to give extra light for the music, which is very useful, really. By the way, the Feurich comes in either brass or chrome. This is the one I previously looked at, and this is the chrome one. So that's obviously just a cosmetic choice. We're perhaps more focusing on what the tone and touch of the instruments is. This is a Yamaha U1H. We got a few of these in stock, and always obviously one of our main sellers because they're relatively common and public regard them very highly. Beautiful sound. So we obviously choose them very carefully, and you can see this one's been reconditioned, not fully restored. So the hammers, you can see very, very little wear on them. So they've got another 30 years life left in them, really. That's of normal playing. Now there's another U1H, and we've got plenty of videos of other U1s in general, comparison with U1 and U3 and Feurich and so on the website. but not individual videos of these ones. So just very quickly, again, very warm sounding piano. So as I say, that's the kind of pianos we like to choose. And this is a Yamaha U-series, so a taller piano. So that's the Celeste is down at the moment, as you can see. That's useful if you, as we said before, that if you play in the same room as the TV and you want to practice scales, or you've got neighbours on the wall behind this piano, then that could be very useful. So with the Celeste up, it's a normal sound. So slightly bigger bass on these, but to me it's down to individual pianos rather than whether you choose a U1 or a U3. Here's another U3H, and very similar to each other really, but they all sound different. So if you're interested in buying a piano, don't have time to come and look at it, if you ask us whether you want a mellow tone or a bright tone, that's the main difference between them really, and they're all going to be high quality pianos anyway. This is a U1M, slightly later. This is 1981. The other ones are in 1970 to 1980, the U1H. The U1M is 1981. Doesn't really make any difference. After about 1985, they seem to vary more, and including pianos we don't really like. So this is our favourite age, really. Really from 1965-ish, which is the U1D, and until 1980, and then you've got 1981, U1M, U1A, up to about 1985 is fine really. And it's all chosen on how much the pianos have been worn. That's how we choose them, and also obviously we will fine regulate them anyway, and also the tone then, and the touch is going to be similar on all of them unless they've been abused in some way. But all our pianos obviously, as I say, they're going to have a wonderful touch. And another U3H. You're probably wondering why there's so many U3Hs and U1Hs. Well, they made 100,000 pianos a year during the 70s to 80s, and that's why, and they're all made in Japan, by the way. Very, very consistent, high quality. Later Yamahas are not so consistent, unfortunately, and we don't normally go for those that are past about 1991. Well, we've got to really choose them really carefully if we do buy them. And another U3, there's not much different to say about these, as I mentioned before. Bright or mellow tone, they're all going to be pianos that we are guaranteeing for 5 years anyway, so, and they'll carry on for another 30 years without any problem. We've also got this Petrov rental piano. There may have been a video made on this one when it was last in, but this is a piano we're storing for a client, and rather than him paying storage, we rent the piano out. Obviously we make sure it's rented out to clients who are going to look after it, and then when the piano comes back, hopefully it's going to be in as good condition. We don't guarantee it for being 100% without any small knocks, but we'll obviously, before we return it to the client, we'll tidy it up as well. But it seems to work very well. We've got several pianos on that kind of scheme. This is a Petrov. I just checked the date on it. So that makes it 1988. They're good quality pianos, Petrovs. They're made in Czechoslovakia, and still making pianos today. Before we look at the other uprights in here, it's this Broadwood Grand. Now we have got video of this. This went out on rental for a very long time. I've just come back in. It's a Broadwood barless Grand. That means that if you look, the frame has no bars going in this. Let's look at this Lutner in comparison. So the bars here, most Grands have bars like this. Just a few, very few, were manufactured without bars, and it does give kind of like very, very consistent sound right throughout. And Broadwoods themselves were good piano makers, obviously, and this was their top model. We're very, very fond of this model of Broadwood. So it's a long piano. This is 229 centimeters, so a long piano, but very well made, extremely well made piano. And very, very decorative too. That's the name Broadwood there. Anyway, we have a video of this already, so I'll pass on to the next one, which is a Lutner Grand, style 7. This Bluethen Star 7 just come into stock. Has a very beautiful veneer on it. They always have beautiful rosewood. We've just the last one we fully repolished was one of these. If we repolish this, we strip it back, and we put a colour that will accentuate the contrast, and does look very, very beautiful. There's a little bit of scratching here, so we'd love to repolish this piano. Obviously that costs quite a lot. It's 70 hours work, but we can certainly do that. And you can see there's perhaps a bit too much shine on this piano for us, because it reflects too much. Whereas if you make it less shiny, you see more of the wood grain. So that's what we would do if we repolished it. And we've done, well, many Bluethen Grands. It's one of our favourite ones to repolish, and also one of our favourite pianos too. So let's have a quick listen to the tone of this. By the way, ivory keys. This is very mellow and needs refacing. So just got it in. We'll be doing that obviously, but very rich, very warm, and we've plenty of videos of Bluethen pianos. So just to say that this one is as good as any that we've had, and just needs refacing really. The hammers, are still plenty of felt left on them, and the weighting's good. The touch is excellent. So it's going to turn out to be a really good piano, this one. It's serial number 84153, made in 1911. It's a Bluethen Style 8. This has been in since November, so I don't think we've got a video of this piano. Similar to the other one, the Style 8 is Aliquot scaling. If we look at what that means, this is number 40232. That's an older piano. It's made in 1894. By the way, when you hear a date like that, 1894, and you think, well, that's a bit old, isn't it? In actual fact, the style of them stayed the same until about 1924-5, amazingly. So there's not really much difference at all. And tone-wise, if anything, the very old ones we prefer. If we listen to this. Now, that's really very as good as any. And certainly, let's say this age, pre-1900, has one of the very best tones of all pianos. The Aliquot scaling, that makes it a Style 8, and that's this extra string that's been put on here, which resonates with the other strings to try and get a bit more interest in the tone, which is they used it on probably more Aliquot scaling than non-Aliquot. The Style 7 we looked at earlier doesn't have the Aliquot scaling. So there's the Style 7 again. You see there's the 3 strings there, and like any other piano really. So the Aliquot scaling has this extra string here, and it resonates with the other ones. I've had the videos of that. Sorry, I'm spending a bit long on this piano. By the way, the older style music desk is like that. That's sort of like about pre-1900. You can obviously choose to put that on the younger pianos if you prefer it. Again, very, very good veneer on this piano. We're actually repolishing a Style 7 Bluethen Grand, similar age. So we're often doing these because they turn out so beautifully. You see the contrast of veneer here. This has got to be cut back a bit to make it slightly less shiny. As I say, we want it to be non-reflective ideally, so that you can see all the nuances of the grain. There's the top lid of this one. So again, very beautiful grain. Now, the last of all of the Grands here, this is a Wohlmar Grand piano made in the UK. So Wohlmar's, they actually had a relationship with Bluetner, importing them, and there's many similarities between the Wohlmar and the Bluetner piano. This is 1934. And for the size of piano, because this is only 5 foot long, it's one of the best really, and it'll be less expensive than a Bluetner Grand. Wohlmar pianos tend to be less expensive. Perhaps the casework's a bit plainer than a Bluetner, but they're extremely good instruments. And the touch, obviously that's one of our specialities, of trying to get the touch really like a new piano. Moving on to the non-black uprights, we have this Feurich upright. This is made in Vienna, and most of it's made in Vienna. So Feurich, as you know, they're made in the top Chinese factory, most of them, but this one's made in Vienna, and some of the 133, the hammers, are made in Germany. So there's a mixture there, but this is called an Austrian piano because most of it is made in Austria, including the casework, which is very beautiful. Now, we have got another video of this, so if you'd like to find out more about that, let's look at the listing of this on the website, and you'll see the other video of it. This is actually made this year, but it's second-hand in the sense that it was sold very early in the year, and the client unfortunately had to resell the piano back to us. So we have it back in, so it's not officially a new piano, but you wouldn't know that. There's no defects on it whatsoever, so you can get a new piano effectively for a bargain price. Now we come to reconditioned or restored German upright pianos, which is something we really love. These pianos, for upright pianos, they can be so good. We're very choosy, have to be really. It's Steinway, this one, and you can see the name there. It's been masked off, so someone's repolished the piano. I think the polish is really good on this, so it doesn't need repolishing. Though if you want it to look perfect, we could do so. The piano is pretty much perfect anyway. There's the top lid. It's just come in, so we haven't really done anything. So those marks can certainly be disguised, and you wouldn't really notice them at all. So our polisher will start to go over this piano and just perfect it really. But it's pretty good. There's not any sort of fading on the piano. Sort of one side faded more than the other particularly. So it's in good condition. The instrument itself is excellent. It's one of the last pianos to come in, so I haven't even cleaned the ivory keys yet. But these are very good ivories, and the join is extremely good. I don't think any of them have ever come off and been stuck back on. So that's very encouraging. And tone-wise, everything you expect from a top quality Steinway. The piano action has been reconditioned and regulated. It's the size of a Model K upright made in 1911, but it doesn't say Model K, so not quite sure what that would be. If you're in the trade, got any suggestions, that would be useful. But as you can see, it has been reconditioned and really well, actually, and the touch is excellent already. We'll obviously try and refine it a bit more. But I'm showing you the insides of this because it just come in and we don't have another video of it. Normally I'm videoing these more sort of top range German pianos. So just briefly, it's been well regulated, and you can see the hammers, new hammers here. So very pleased to get the piano, and we'll be just perfecting it a bit. Now moving into our other workshop showroom. This is a Sila upright piano. I'm very fond of them. They are very often quite decorative, these taller Sila pianos, and you can see the very nice sconces here, and beautiful decoration on the front panel here. So obviously it's the instrument mechanically that we're really interested in, but it's nice to get something that is very decorative as well. This has just come in, so I've got a bit of tidying up of the case, but I think most of the blemishes we'll be able to disguise very well, hopefully very well. The polisher's pretty experienced at doing that. And looking at the piano generally, it's beautifully designed. We'll have a listen to the piano, which I say is what we're really looking for, pianos that sound and feel as good as possible. So again, cosmetically, Sila's always very tasteful, huge amount of work gone into them, and also the piano itself. So let's listen to that. The most important melody area there, then. And the bottom bass, so all excellent really, and very nice fly damper style there. That's not common to see that. Normally they look more like ordinary dampers, as it were, set like Bechstein often have those on. So it's very nice to see, beautifully made, very well thought out. And we also have a Gerhard Ardem here, and there's these blemishes on the front, by the way, will be completely disguising those, so that they won't worry you. And the top, generally the polish is very integral, and the piano itself, let's have a listen to that. Well, it's got ivory keys, by the way. The Sila did as well, just trying to not go too slowly on this video. So made in Vessel, that unfortunately was practically obliterated during the war where it was made, so you don't see these after the Second World War. This is 1920s, I think. Sorry, I forgot to mention the Sila is 1906, and this is 1920s, 88 notes. Sila had 85 keys, by the way. And let's look inside this one too. So you can see, again, beautifully finished off piano, a very respected maker. Not too many of these in the UK. If you've seen many of these and worked on them, I'd be very interested to hear about it. but certainly the ones we've sold before have been beautiful pianos, and still a bit of regulation still to do on this, but basically top quality piano. Again, very warm sound. I just finish off the top quality German uprights that we've sourced and have reconditioned or restored, a bit of both very often. So this is one of our preferred makes. You've plenty of other videos on Richard Lipp, which we try and source as much as we can. Just has a delightful tone. It's very mellow, this one, touch wise, and again that's something we're always working on. It's pretty much 50 grams, I should say, this feeling it now, but we'll refine that as much as we can. Very angled bass string, so it's a very strong bass tone. Now finally, our smaller pianos, although this isn't really a smaller piano, the Wohlmar, one of the makes we're really trying to source as much as we can. It's perhaps a bit narrower than an older style piano, but this is Wohlmar's top model, Model C, and with walnut veneer, and it was very much their top model, and they've not only made it look very beautiful, but also is as good as any piano. It's the height of a Yamaha U1, and I would say certainly the quality of a Yamaha U1, if not higher quality. So very little wear on the hammers, as we mentioned before, the sourcing pianos that haven't been too used. And beautiful break point, no distinction in both sides of the break there, which we talked about that with Knight pianos, where they've got the continuous bridge, there's no break, no bar here, sorry, so you'll see videos about those, but this one, yeah, Wohlmar and Knight are our sort of makes we're particularly trying to source. So stable, and Wohlmar, this tall Wohlmar's, as I say, the tone is beautiful, very, to me, well, more European, shall we say, than the Yamaha, and certainly just as good a tone as the U1. And unusually, we've got two of these Wohlmar Model C pianos in stock at the moment. These are 120 centimetres high, as I say, same height as the Yamaha U1, which is one of the most common pianos in the world that musicians prefer, but this is slightly brighter than the other. And that's extremely warm sound. Touch is excellent, just as good as any other upright you could buy, really, and very, very stable. This one's 1975. You can always tell by the number on Wohlmar's. The batch of Wohlmar's from, I think it's about 1960 to 1985 or so. If it's 1975, it's 7.5. So the walnut one, 7.8, 1978. You can even tell looking at the back of a Wohlmar just how thoughtful they've been. Look at that beautiful handhold there, and so extra design like that. You can tell the manufacturer's serious about not trying to make a budget piano, but a very high quality one. Here's a Knight, 1970. Still in that golden period of modern piano making, and this is a rental piano, actually, one that we're looking after for a client. They don't pay us anything, but we get money by renting it out, and it suits. It's a very useful relationship we have then, as it were, useful system, I mean, and we've got plenty of pianos on the same idea, really. So sometimes people buy a piano from us, they're moving abroad for a couple of years, they don't want to lose the piano, so we look after it and use it as a rental piano. Obviously, can't guarantee it's perfect. I think I mentioned this for another one, so apologies. I'm just repeating myself there. But this badge here, we said this. We've got videos on Knight, so but just basically, it's so well constructed, so stable, really, in any environment. And a couple more Knights. This one is for sale, and it's 1982, and I think it's a particularly special one. They vary obviously slightly. I played this one quite a lot, and I'm very fond of it. Next to it you have another Knight, which is apparently played on by Les Dawson and Dudley Moore at some stage, so that's interesting. But you'd think in that case it's in a public venue, but it's actually in very good condition. It has a slight, you can see there, I don't know if you can see a little bit of wear on it, but generally like the front rail and so on, it's in pretty good condition. Not, it wouldn't distract you too much, I think. It's, you just want a really good piano, then. And that's very good as well. And I mentioned the one next to it I like particularly, but maybe that's because I played it more than this one. But this does sound promising. This is a Fatso. It's one of the makes we try and source. Not so common, but there are a reasonable number of them in the UK. And interesting Scandinavian design, made in Finland, and you can see the long. They've used the whole length of the piano for the music stand, which is very useful really if you want to. Nowadays people often put sheets of music right across the piano, so that works very, very well, and again hardly used. And last of all, a very small Kemble. This is one we really try and source a lot because people want a piano that's not so wide. This one's 131 centimetres wide, so quite a lot narrower than most the modern uprights. One thing they do is to not have the top three notes, which are not necessary for exams at all, so you can do without those. So this goes up to an A, which a lot of pianos do. The Sila we looked at earlier goes up to an A. That's no real problem for a musician, unless you do the higher grades. You might, well, you can take right through the grades without needing those notes, but there are some pieces written for the very top notes. Very narrow, as you can see. There's hardly any space here, and again not too worn. So and for a small piano, so I preferred make of really small piano, and this one's pretty perfect. The veneer is excellent, and there's no fading on it. It's a light coloured piano, and crown cut, as you can see, so it's very pretty. So that's a look at all the pianos we have in stock. Normally I try to make longer videos of each one, so apologies for that, but I got a bit behind, so decided to put all the stock into one video. There's one or two missed out. There's one came in since the video as well. Now finishing off on this Feurich 123 upright, and it's made in Vienna. What impresses me as well as the piano, and you can see it's got this extra compartment if you want to open up to make more volume. It's interesting as well. You can see the Celeste go down there. Just everything's so well designed about these Feurichs, so that's why it's our preferred make of new piano really. But also what impresses me is the casework. Compared to many new pianos, this casework is superb. It's really solid wood and really well veneered. Just looks very special. This is satin walnut, I think they've called it, but really excellent altogether. So an Austrian piano, very encouraging to see Feurich developing. And the reason they've done this in Austria mainly is because it's got a Renner action in. Instead of a Chinese action, which their Chinese pianos have, it's got a Renner action, and that's sort of much more expensive, so that's why the piano is dearer, unfortunately. But I think it compares with any new piano, literally. Just very sweet sounding. Very powerful in the bass, and yet very delicate here. And the action is superb, being a Renner action, which is put in all sort of top quality German pianos, Steinways, Bechsteins and so on, use Renner actions. So whether you want to play it staccato, bright kind of music, just suits all styles, and it's beautiful to play. Very, very stable, very well made altogether. So, as much to say about the pianos, we've chosen them all very carefully, obviously. So, if you want to buy a piano without coming then to see us, then that does happen quite frequently because of the videos. We prefer you to come and look at the piano because you can't feel it. But we can try and tell you what the touch is like, and say particularly whether it's heavy or light. Very sensitive as this one is. Obviously the dearer pianos tend to be high quality. This particular piano, it looks brand new, and as I mentioned earlier, we sold it to someone who had to sell it back to us earlier in the year, so it's not officially new, but there's no marks on the whole piano, so it's an opportunity to buy equivalent to a new piano at a lower price. So I hope that's been helpful. Please write in if you've got any comments, if you want to ask any questions. Thank you very much for listening.